What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for March 25th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. Before we get started, just a quick programming note. I mentioned it last week, but might expect the pod to be posted later times this week just because of my day job schedule. Won't be too much later, but it'll be more of like a weekend schedule than anything. Likely tomorrow it'll be normal time, but just that quick programming note. As always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, which seed did you think the Sixers were going to get into the playoffs with? 67% of you think they're going to get up into the 6th seed and finish outside of the play-in tournament. We'll see. I mean, they're currently only a half a game out of 6th and only 3 games out of 5th. So that theoretically, depending on how soon Joe can get back into shape, will determine on that. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531 gets you through to the Back to the Future voice and text line. There will be another question of the day later in the show, but let's just stick with the Sixers. And what a good team effort. What a good win over our old pal James Harden yesterday. 121-107, and for the most part, minus a little blip after halftime there. Sixers were ahead most of the game. They jumped out early, scored 40 points in the first quarter, and then pulled away in the fourth. The one thing that they've been doing, or have not been doing, they actually did yesterday. It was good to see. Tyrese actually had a great second half. He and Tobias both ended up with 24. Campaign added 23. And it was good the way they did it. Tobias carried the load there in the first half. Maxey came through in the fourth quarter when they needed him. As I mentioned, they're currently tied for 8th right now with the Heat, who had a big win yesterday against Cleveland. It's going to be a fun race here. The last, maybe, 12, 14 games left in the season. They did get at least a 1 win on this West Coast trip. They're back at it today against the Kings late night tonight. Hopefully they can keep that momentum rolling and still finish 2-2, come home and move on. But again, good win for the Sixers. You have to like the way they played. If they had played like this the entire time Joe has been out, we wouldn't be having this debate about whether they're in the play-in tournament, this, that, or the other. So hopefully they can keep this rolling now and keep the ship afloat and try to get into that 6th or even possibly the 5th spot by the end of the season. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. They're doing a great job over there with basketball. They put their NFL free agency show up. So check them out on YouTube as well and anywhere you get your podcasts. But they're doing a good job. Clashing Conferences podcast. I got a chance to hang out with them on Saturday for some football or for some NCAA basketball. Good time with them. So go check them out, the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcast. While you're at it, be sure to hit up my social media, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, Jimbo_Mont. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you stay in the loop. I mentioned last week everything's sort of been streamlined into one podcast now. So everything you need will be under this day in Philly sports history. Instagram at Philly Jimbo. But definitely hit up the Back to the Future voice and text line. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's grow this thing and just have some fun with that. All right, from the Sixers to the Flyers, and the Flyers not so much yesterday. They lost 4-1 to Florida. They did get 2 points out of this weekend homestand, but they're only 2 points up on the Capitals, who won yesterday. 3 points on the Red Wings. It's going to be a battle between those 3 teams. The Flyers have a 2-game lead in the Metro, and the way the NHL playoffs work, obviously the top 3 teams in each division get it, and then 2 wild cards. So they would be basically everybody's kind of battling for that last wild card. So it comes down to the Flyers, Capitals, and Red Wings. 2 of those 3 teams will get into the playoffs. Hopefully one of them is the Flyers, but it's going to be a fun little stretch there. And I don't know yesterday if they just came out flat because of the big win versus Boston, but they have some time off now before they play again. But tough 4-1 loss for the Flyers. We'll keep an eye on. I think we're close enough now that we can do a keep an eye on the out of town scoreboard and make sure we're following along with what the other teams are doing. All right, Phillies had a busy day yesterday. And it seems like the roster now is set. Jake Cave was traded to the Rockies for cash considerations, which means Rojas and Pache will make the team. I guess there still is the outside chance that Cody Clemens could make the team. The issue it leaves, and Rob Thompson said it's not an issue. We'll see. There's not really a left-hander off the bench to pinch hit. I don't know. I guess we'll see if Rojas comes in and is doing what he needs to do. It's not necessarily that big of a deal. We'll see though if they need to address that. But Rob Thompson didn't seem to think it mattered that much, so we'll kind of go with that. But it does look like Rojas will be your starting center fielder on Thursday against the Braves. They also extended Matt Strahm through 2025 with an option for 2026. I believe it was an option for both of them, the team and Matt Strahm. He seemed pretty happy about it, and I don't mind Strahm at all. So I like locking him up and making sure he's going to get there. The other big news was Tawan Walker likely is going to open the season on the IL. It's not official yet, but all signs are pointing to that. We talked yesterday about Turnbull getting the start like at the last minute. So it looks like he's going to fill in. And I don't know if they're going to swap the spots. Maybe Sanchez will be the fourth starter and Turnbull. But usually early in the season, they build in those extra days off in case of rain and whatnot for opening day. So we'll see, I guess, how that plays out. They have some time and some options to play around with. As far as the game action, Johan did go 0 for 2, but he had a walk. It was Nola, though, who was the star of the show. 5 2/3, 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 Ks in his last spring start. So your 1 and 2 starters looked outstanding in their final 2 spring training tune-up. So hopefully that translates into beating the Braves. But Nola, Strahm, Junior Marte, and Lazar all had a shutout yesterday. So the pitching staff, for the most part, minus a couple guys here and there, has been solid. And that's a huge knock on wood to start the season. But we're going to do a lot with the Phillies this week as we get ready for opening day Thursday. And like I said, this is March Madness as an event is great. But to me, this whole time of the year, we got playoff races coming down in the NHL and NBA. We have March Madness, opening day. And to me, there is no better opening day or the season opener for any sport. No, nothing. I can't get this out. I don't know why. Opening day is the best start to the season of all the 4 major sports, is what I'm trying to say. There's just something about the first day of baseball that really gets in. And we'll do more on opening day on Thursday once we get there. But that leads us to today's question of the day. And the question of the day is right now, and for the most part, everybody is kind of in line with that. But I typically tend to use DraftKings, and DraftKings has the Phillies win total at 89.5. Question of the day, you going over or under? I put my bet in for the over. They won 90 games last year, and with a healthier start to this season, there's no reason why I see that they cannot win more games than they won last year. To be honest, I feel like that's kind of low. I might set it at like 91, 92. But, hey, if they're going to give me a line like that, I'm going to take it. But that's your question of the day. Phillies win total this year, over, under 89.5. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm going over. I think they win 92, 93, possibly even 94 games. And I just really think that DraftKings line is low, but maybe I'm missing something. So let me know. 267-495-8531. Hit me up on the social media and let me know. Phillies win total over under 89.5. While you're at it, be sure to check out the Phillies preview that was posted last week. Just go right through the episode list and it's labeled Phillies preview. I give my 3 bold predictions as well as what I feel they are going to do. So check out the Phillies preview back in the archive list or the episode list. It's labeled Phillies preview. Let me know once you watch it. Let me know what you think about the bold predictions. I've had some people reach out and say, I mentioned this yesterday, that's not really a bold prediction. Well, guess what? It's bold for me. So go check out the 3 bold predictions and let me know. But I'm going over 89.5 wins. Already put the ticket in. Let me know what your thoughts are. Over, under 89.5 wins for the Phils. 267-495-8531. Get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Don't forget to check out our friends over at Philly Goat. I am super excited. Not only do I have a week off to kind of rest, recover, and start getting some stuff done around the house, I have some ideas to try to plan out summer rotation for the podcast. But my shoes are coming this week. I am so excited to get these canvas loafers from phillygoat.com. Go check out all the designs they have. They're phenomenal. You won't be disappointed. Buy the shoes, or buy a shirt, and then buy the shoes to match it. If you see the shoes you like, buy the shoes, and then they have a shirt to match it. That's how they roll. So go to phillygoat.com. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery, all one word, for 10% off your order. You will not be disappointed. All right, some Eagles news. And rumblings that there are 2 teams, the Cardinals and the Falcons, that are interested in Reddick. I would imagine probably the Falcons would probably be the better fit. But who knows? Maybe he goes back to Arizona where he played before. But keep an eye on that. It seems more and more likely they will trade him. But as we hear something, I will keep you posted. An update on the Will Grier signing, too. I did not realize it. Likely, though, he's probably just a camp guy to help run the offense because he has worked with Kellen Moore both in Dallas as well as L.A. So that signing kind of makes more sense to me now. It's kind of a camp arm, just, hey, help us run the scout team or something, which means he probably will end up, maybe on the practice squad. So we'll see. And finally, as we do every day until it happens, Howie, if you're out there listening, extend Smitty. What are you waiting for? Spend the money, extend Devontae. Come on now, let's do it. That has been a PSA from me. All right, couple March Madness updates. Very chalky so far, and lots of the top seeds are winning, and they're winning big. I listened to a couple guys and podcasts on sports gambling, and one guy was talking about it. He was just like, it's very chalky, and like you see a lot of big numbers on the board, and these like UConn's covering it. Marquette, they're covering these numbers that like they look big. So not Marquette, like Carolina, like, so we'll see what happens. But it's been a fun tournament, though. There's been some things. You got a couple days off here, and if you're keeping score at home, my daughter is still beating us here in the family pool. Crazy, man, crazy. All right, but we are still going to stick because there's a rich history. As much as we talked last week about the Big Five being dead, there's still a rich basketball history, especially in the postseason in Philadelphia. So we still have some more March Madness stuff lined up here. And today we are going to go back to 2005. And on this day in 2005, Villanova lost to North Carolina 67-66 in the Sweet 16. But it was not without controversy. Nova was battling them all day, and they got down 10 with about 3 minutes, 40 seconds left. And it almost looked like, okay, this is where North Carolina, who was the 1 seed, is just going to run away with this. And then Nova made a furious comeback. And then Allan Ray drove the lane took a shot, and it looked like he got fouled and got the N1. Ref blew the whistle. Everybody was excited, thinking Allan Ray was going to have a chance to tie the game up. But the ref calls the traveling on Allan Ray. The replays looked as though it was not a travel, so it was a bad call. I'm including the link in the description to the CBS coverage with Greg Gumbel and those guys in the studio, and they talk about it. They said they don't see it. Clark Kellogg was like, this doesn't look like a... and they were very cautious not to argue with the refs, but it did not look like a travel. But click on the link and let me know. A little bit of bonus question of the day. Did Allan Ray travel, or did he get fouled, and should it have been an N1? But let me know what you think. The link to the video is in the description, so be sure to check that out and let me know if you think Allan Ray traveled or not. Or if you're a Nova fan, I'm sure this is probably something that is you still remember. Let me know your thoughts on that. Ray, other than that play at the end, struggled throughout the game, shot 2 for 14. But Randy Foye led the Wildcats with 28. Freshman Kyle Lowry had 18. Nova, like I said, was the 5 seed. They beat New Mexico, Florida, who was ranked 16th. And you never know what would have happened if that shot would have counted, because UNC would have gone, or did go on to win the championship that year. Nova would take 5 more years before they get to the Final Four. But that would have only tied it. So they still, I think North Carolina still would have had 6 seconds left to get a shot off. And then there was always the possibility of overtime. But the phantom travel is really what cost Villanova this game. But be sure to check out that link. Let me know what you think. I looked at it and it looked like it was not a travel. It looked like he got fouled. But we'll go from there. But the link is in the description. 267-495-8531. Did Allan Ray travel on that play? Let me know. But on this day in 2005, Nova lost to UNC 67-66. Despite the furious comeback, they got kind of screwed on a phantom travel call. So watch the video and let me know what you think. All right, finally today, this day in Philly sports history, Women's History Month spotlight is Ora Washington, who was a tennis and basketball star, the queen of the court, as they called her. She was a star at Germantown. She was born in the South and moved up during the Great Migration to live with her aunt, who settled in Germantown. She played tennis at the Germantown Y. Became pretty good at tennis. She won 23 American Tennis Association titles, 8 single, 12 double, and 3 mixed doubles. She was the ATA's national champion from 1929 through 1936, oftentimes going undefeated through the season. Unfortunately, though, when it came to tennis, she was not able to realize her full potential due to segregation and just not being able to play against the white stars of the time. But she still held her own in tennis while also being a superstar basketball player as well. She started off playing for the Georgetown Hornets, where they promptly won the title in 1931. From there, she joined the Philadelphia Tribunes, a barnstorming team that was sponsored by the Philadelphia Tribune, which is still in publication today, which is, and I don't want to say this wrong because I don't know if it's the oldest, but one of the oldest all black and run newspapers in the country. They won 11 straight championships for the World's Colored Basketball World Championships, and she was considered one of the best players in the world. Like, she just had she had an unorthodox shot, but she was just good on both ends of the court. Arthur Ashe, who also was a well-known tennis player, said that she may have been one of the best tennis players of all time. She just never got her due to segregation. She's in the Black Athletes Hall of Fame, the Temple Sports Hall of Fame, the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Hall of Fame, the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. There's a PA State historical marker on Germantown Avenue. I have actually seen this. It's pretty cool, dedicated to her. There is a statue. The statue is called MVP at Smith Playground in Fairmount. And Ora Washington, these are the ones I love. Like, I say this all the time, but Most of you probably have never heard of Ora Washington, and she was just a superstar in two sports that never really got her due to the fact that the tennis was segregated and there weren't as many opportunities for women's basketball at the time. But man, Ora Washington could have been, I mean, she's a Hall of Famer in both sports. So, Ora Washington, shout out to you, the Germantown native, or I shouldn't say native, but the tennis basketball star from Germantown is today's This Day in Philly Sports History, Women's History Month Spotlight. Go do more research on her because just some of the stories and everything is just phenomenal. And like I said, these are the ones I love getting them out. Everybody knows the big names, but someone like Ora Washington, who probably deserves to be more widely recognized and well known than what she is. She is today's This Day in Philly Sports History, Women's History Month Spotlight of the Day. On this day in 2005, Villanova lost to North Carolina 67-66 with a controversial travel call on what appeared to be a made layup and an N1 for Allan Ray. Check the link. Let me know what you think. Did he travel? And then, I mean, give you a third bonus question of the day. Would it have mattered? Because there still would have been like 6 seconds left. Would North Carolina have hit the shot to win? Would Villanova have stopped them? We'll see what happens. But check out that link and let me know. Be sure to let me know on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Which way are you going with the Phillies win total? Over, under 89.5. I'm all in on over. I think that number should have been probably 91, 92, maybe even 93. But let me know. Maybe I'm too high on the Phils. Check out that Phillies preview. Let me know your thoughts on the bold predictions. We will start keeping an eye on the standings watch for the Sixers and the Flyers. Are you comfortable with the move that the Phillies made with Jake Cave being traded now that Rojas seems likely to be our starting center fielder? Let me know all of that, whatever you're thinking today. It appears it's going to be a nice day before the rain sets in for next week. So get out, enjoy the day. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.